This is the portal of Rouen Cathedral in morning light by Claude Monet, painted in 1894 as part of his intense exploration of a single subject in changing light. Monet was a leading figure of Impressionism, devoted to capturing the fleeting effects of light and atmosphere on the world around him. For more than 2 years, he worked on over 30 canvases of Rouen Cathedral's west facade, setting up in rooms opposite the stone walls so he could observe how the light transformed them from dawn to dusk. In this painting, early morning light suffuses the Gothic portal. Warm yellows and cool blues mingle in loose, expressive brushstrokes that make stone feel luminous rather than solid. Monet didn't aim for photographic detail. He wanted to show how colour and shadow dance across the surface in a particular moment. Here, the cathedral stands not as an unchanging monument, but as a living presence reshaped by light, a fleeting harmony between architecture and the rising sun. This is The Road from Versailles to Saint-Germain by Alfred Sisley, painted in 1875 during his mature Impressionist period. Sisley, a British-born artist working in France, was devoted to capturing light, atmosphere, and the quiet poetry of the countryside. Here the road curves gently through lush green fields, dappled with summer light and shadow. Trees line the path, their leaves flickering with strokes of colour that suggest movement and air itself. In the distance, figures appear small against the broad landscape, subtle signs of life woven into nature's calm rhythm. Sisley painted this scene in plein air, working outdoors so that every hue and every shift in light could be felt, not just seen. The impression is gentle, not dramatic, but alive with light and the quiet passage of a summer day on a French road between villages where the everyday becomes quietly luminous. This is Young Man at His Window by Gustave Caillebotte, painted in 1876 and now part of the J. Paul Getty Museum's collection in Los Angeles. Caillebotte was a French artist associated with Impressionism who often explored urban life with a clarity and stillness unlike many of his peers. Here, a young man stands in a dark suit, his back to us, his hands in his pockets, his stance steady. He looks out through a tall, open window onto the streets of Paris. The figure is modelled by Caillebotte's own brother, René, placing the personal at the heart of this quiet moment. Beyond him, the city continues. Carriages, pedestrians, and the facades of Parisian buildings framed by the window's geometry. Caillebotte's composition balances interior stillness with the restless life outside, inviting us to pause with him, to feel the tension between presence and possibility. In this painting, ordinary life becomes both invitation and mystery, a simple gaze that echoes across time. This is Landscape à Louveciennes, Autumn, by Camille Pissarro, painted in 1870 in oil on canvas, during his time living in Louveciennes, a village just outside Paris. Pissarro was one of the founders of Impressionism, a movement dedicated to capturing light and atmosphere as they appear in the moment. Here the road stretches into the countryside, bordered by tall, slender trees, whose leaves are muted with the cooling tones of fall. A woman and a child walk along this path, small figures within a wide landscape, evoking both quiet daily life and the rhythm of the season. Pissarro's brushstrokes are loose and spirited. Rather than exact detail, he paints the sensation of light on earth, sky, and foliage. The soft blending of colour that makes you feel the crisp autumn air. In this scene, late 19th century rural France isn't idealised but lived in. A fleeting moment translated into paint, measured not by precision but by presence. This is Landscape with a Bare Tree and a Ploughman by Léon Bonvin, painted in 1864, when Bonvin was working primarily in watercolour, ink and pen. Bonvin was a French artist, known for delicate, melancholic landscapes created quietly on paper, often observed in early morning or dusk. Here, a solitary figure guides his plough through a silent field. A bare tree looms nearby, its spindly branches reaching into the sky, suggesting both solitude and resilience. Bonvin's touch is subtle. The soft washes of watercolor paired with fine ink lines allow light and atmosphere to shape the scene. He was deeply attentive to nature's fleeting effects, capturing moments that feel transient yet timeless. Too little appreciated in his lifetime, Bonvin's landscapes are now recognized for their quiet power and emotive precision. In landscape with a bare tree and a ploughman, the stillness of the land and the lone figure together become a meditation on labor, nature, and the passing of light. This is Irises by Vincent van Gogh, painted in 1889 while he was living at the asylum of Saint-Paul-de-Moselle in Saint-Rémy, France. Van Gogh painted the flowers he could see in the asylum garden, working directly from nature. For him, painting was a way to steady his mind. The irises twist and lean, each one distinct, alive with movement. There's no single focal point. Your eye drifts, just as the garden does. Van Gogh was deeply influenced by Japanese woodblock prints, and you can see it here. The bold outlines, the flattened space, the strong contrast of color. One white iris stands apart from the rest, quietly different, yet fully part of the whole. Irises was one of the first works he painted at the asylum. Today, it's housed at the J. Paul Getty Museum, still vibrating with color, still rooted in a moment of fragile calm. This is Riva degli Schiavoni, from near San Biagio, Venice, by Richard Parkes Bonington, painted in the late 1820s during his travels in Italy. Bonington was known for his luminous handling of light, and here Venice feels open, breathable, and alive. The buildings stretch along the waterfront, softened by air and reflection. Rather than grand drama, the scene captures the quiet rhythm of daily life. Gondolas drifting, figures moving along the quay, the city unfolding at an unhurried pace. Bonington worked with thin layers of oil paint, often influenced by watercolor techniques, allowing the sky and water to glow with transparency. The composition draws your eye outward toward the horizon, where sea and sky gently dissolve into one another. In this moment, Venice isn't theatrical or heavy with history. It's light, fleeting, and almost weightless, preserved by an artist who understood how quickly beauty can pass. This is Spring by Sir Lawrence Alma Tadema, an oil-on-canvas painting completed in 1894 by the Dutch-born British artist. Alma Tadema was celebrated for his evocative visions of the ancient world, blending meticulous historical detail with a luminous sense of atmosphere. In Spring, a procession winds through a marble-lined street of ancient Rome, led by barefoot women and children crowned with flowers, echoing both ancient rites and the Victorian custom of collecting blossoms on May Day. They descend steps and carry flowers, instruments, and garlands under a brilliant sky. Spectators lean from balconies, caught between joy and quiet admiration, while classical architecture, triumphal arches and friezes, frames the scene like a timeless stage. Alma Tadema worked on this composition for years, blending archaeological knowledge with poetic imagination. The procession is less about a specific festival and more about the spirit of renewal. The earth waking, blossoms opening, and life marching forward like a bright and ancient hymn. This is portrait of Leonilla, Princess of Sayn Wittgenstein Sayn, painted in 1843 by Franz Xaver Winterhalter, a German artist celebrated for his elegant royal and aristocratic portraits. Leonilla Ivanovna Baryatinskaya was a Russian-born princess known for her beauty and intellect. and here she reclines in a pose that feels both relaxed and commanding. Winterhalter places her on a low Turkish sofa against a verdant, almost dreamlike landscape. Her ivory silk gown with a pink sash and deep purple mantle contrast with her smooth, luminous skin, a play of colour and texture that heightens the painting's luxurious atmosphere. Her gaze meets ours with confidence and grace, while the pearls she toys with add a quiet, tactile elegance. This full-length portrait, large in scale and rich in detail, reflects Winterhalter's mastery of both likeness and refinement. Today, it continues to captivate viewers with its blend of nobility, beauty, and subtle sensuality. This is study for La Vita by Giovanni Segantini, created in 1897 as part of his work toward a larger symbolic composition. Segantini was closely associated with symbolism and known for his divisionist technique, building forms through small strokes of color and light. Even in this study, light feels structural, not decorative, but essential. The figures are simplified, their gestures quiet and purposeful. Life here is not dramatic, it's cyclical, rooted in labor, care, and connection to nature. Segantini often explored themes of birth, motherhood, and continuity, especially in the alpine landscapes where he lived and worked. As a study, this work is about searching, refining emotion, balance, and meaning before the final image takes shape. In Study for La Vita, life is not a single moment, but an enduring presence, shaped by light, time, and human tenderness. This is Still Life with Blue Pot by Paul Cézanne, created about 1900 to 1906 in watercolor over graphite on paper during the final years of his life in Provence, France. Cézanne made still life central to his art, returning again and again to simple objects, pots, fruit, and bottles, to explore how shape and color define reality. Here, a humble blue pot sits at the center, surrounded by apples and a quietly patterned cloth. The objects are ordinary, but Cézanne's touch is transformative. Every brushstroke builds volume, light, and presence. Rather than smooth detail, he uses small patches of color placed side by side, a strategy that helps form solid shapes out of shifting light. Cézanne once wrote that painting is not copying an object but realizing one's sensations of it. In this still life, the blue pot doesn't just sit on a table. It lives in a space shaped by thought, touch, and color. Today, this work is in the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, a luminous testament to an artist who helped bridge Impressionism and modern art. This is The Signal by John William Godward, painted in the late 19th century during the height of his career as a neoclassical painter. Godward was known for his idealized figures set against classical architecture influenced by ancient Greece and Rome. In this work, a young woman stands alone, poised and still. She raises her arm, caught in a quiet gesture, a signal meant for someone beyond the frame. The moment feels suspended, almost timeless. The marble backdrop is rendered with precise detail, its cool surface contrasting with the warmth of her skin and the softness of her drapery. Godward's focus is not narrative but atmosphere, a study of beauty, balance, and restraint. In The Signal, nothing moves, yet everything waits. A single gesture holding the weight of anticipation. This is Jeanne, Spring, by Edouard Manet, an oil painting completed in 1881 and first shown at the Paris Salon of 1882, one of the greatest public successes of his later career. Manet painted Jeanne de Marcy, a young Parisian actress, as the embodiment of spring, elegant yet natural, poised in a floral dress with a parasol and soft bonnet against a backdrop of lush foliage and blue sky. This work was conceived as the first in a quartet representing the seasons, using stylish contemporary women to express seasonal spirit. Only spring and autumn were completed before Monet's death. Here, Monet blends modern fashion with artistic tradition. The patterning of her dress, the delicate touch of floral motifs, and the fresh palette all speak to spring's renewal and vitality. Today, Jean Spring is in the collection of the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, a luminous testament to Manet's late career, where color, elegance, and immediacy live together in perfect harmony. This is Eri Matamoy, The Royal End, by Paul Gauguin, painted in 1892 during his first stay in Tahiti. The painting shows the severed head of a Tahitian king resting on a pillow, watched over by figures and spirits. It refers to a local legend in which a sacred royal head holds both power and danger. Gauguin used intense, unnatural color, deep blues, reds, and greens, rejecting realism in favor of symbolism and emotion. The flattened forms and bold outlines reflect his move away from European academic painting toward a style shaped by myth and imagination. This work is not a document of Tahitian life, but Gauguin's interpretation of it, filtered through his own beliefs and fantasies. In Eri Matamoy, death is not an ending, but a transformation, a moment where power, ritual, and myth become inseparable. This is Queen of the Night by Moritz von Schwind, a watercolor and graphite drawing created about 1864 to 1867. Schwind was an Austrian painter and draftsman of the Romantic era, drawn to stories, music, and legend. In this work, he depicts the mysterious Queen of the Night, a dramatic figure from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's opera Die Zauberflöte, the magic flute. The queen stands before a glowing moon, her silhouette bold, regal, and enigmatic against the night sky. The loose watercolor and graphite lines give her form a dreamlike presence, as if caught between reality and myth. Schwind's artistic life often merged visual art with musical inspiration. He was commissioned in the 1860s to create frescoes for the Vienna Opera House based on the magic flute, and this piece reflects that deep engagement with sound as visual drama. In Queen of the Night, the opera's commanding figure becomes more than character. She becomes a symbol of mystery, power, and the night itself. This is Head of a Woman. Study for The Happy Mother, Le Heureuse Mère, by Pierre-Paul Prud'hon, painted in the early 19th century as a preparatory study for a larger composition. Prud'hon was known for blending neoclassical structure with a softer, almost dreamlike sensitivity. This study focuses not on narrative, but on expression. The woman's face emerges gently from shadow, her features modeled with subtle gradations of light. Her gaze is lowered, calm and introspective. Prud'hon worked carefully to capture emotion through tone rather than line, allowing light to shape the face and give it warmth and depth. Studies like this gave artists space to explore mood before committing to a finished work. Here, the emotion comes quietly, maternal, reflective, restrained. In this intimate fragment, Prud'hon captures the emotional heart of the happy mother, a moment of stillness before the story fully unfolds. This is A Study of Waves by Paul-Albert Besnard, a work created in the 1890s as part of his explorations of nature and atmosphere. Besnard was a French painter and printmaker who bridged academic training with a personal approach to light and color. Unlike tightly composed genre scenes, this study turns its attention to the sea itself, where water and light are ever in motion. The waves rise and fall with a rhythm that feels alive, shifting between quiet calm and restless energy. Besnard was attentive to tonal nuance, often blending academic technique with sensitivity to fleeting atmospheric effects. Even in a study like this, he invites us to feel the movement rather than merely observe it. Here, the ocean becomes both subject and emotion, a moment of nature captured in paint, echoing the ebb and flow of time itself. This is River Landscape by Johann Georg von Dillis, painted in the early 19th century, during a time when landscape painting was beginning to change. Von Dillis worked directly from nature, often outdoors, capturing rivers, skies, and light as they appeared in real time. These paintings were not meant to be dramatic. They were meant to be observed. The river moves quietly through the scene, reflecting the sky above it. Trees, land, and water feel balanced, unforced, and real. His brushwork is loose and economical, allowing atmosphere to take precedence over detail. What matters here isn't spectacle, but presence. At a time when landscapes were often idealized, von Dillis painted what he saw: light passing, water shifting, a moment already slipping away. In River Landscape, nature isn't grand or symbolic. It's calm, fleeting, and deeply human, a quiet record of time moving on. John Everett Millais painted Ophelia in 1851, a portrait of a death that's more beautiful than it should be. This is Shakespeare's Ophelia, just after she's fallen into the river, singing as the water closes around her. Her expression is calm, almost resigned, as if she's already become part of the landscape. Her hands float open, not struggling but offering. Around her, flowers bloom and drift, violets for faithfulness, poppies for sleep, daisies for innocence lost. Every bloom tells part of the story. Millais painted the background from life, crouched for months beside a real river in Surrey. The details are botanical, precise. Nature is wild, tangled, and quietly indifferent. In the end, it's not the moment of death that Millais captures. It's the stillness right after. Ophelia is both a tragedy and a love song, to beauty, to sorrow, and to the silence that follows. Painted in 1888, Café Terrace at Night is one of Van Gogh's quieter works, but it hums. With warmth, with light, with something just barely held together. The cafe glows in yellow, almost floating. It spills out onto the cobblestone like a lantern. No windows, no walls, just light and evening air. People sit beneath it unbothered, small, faceless, at ease. Van Gogh paints no tension here, so just presence. Above them, the stars burn sharp in a sky that's more cobalt than black. This was the first time Van Gogh painted a night scene from life. No black paint at all, just layers of deep blue and violet lit from within. Down the street, the night stretches out, cool and quiet. The cafe stays behind, warm and waiting. Café Terrace at Night isn't about loneliness. It's about belonging and the small golden places we find when the world grows dark. Ready for your next art history lesson? Follow and like for more.